So before we went to our trip to Boston, we had coursework, and it ranged from a variety of topics such as travel skills, learning how to navigate the airport, navigating a busy city, and communication skills such as how to communicate your needs effectively, especially to those people who don't know you, like maybe a stranger who asks for a stranger who you're asking for help in public, or maybe even the flight attendant on the plane. So you need to be able to explain what you can see in layman's terms. Like, I can see about a foot in front of me, I can see all color, large detail, like colors but not fine detail, like facial expressions, all that good stuff. And just a bunch of other skills that you will need to be successful in our trip to Boston.
So something that I did before I went to Boston, I researched a bunch of, because we went to Salem, so I researched a bunch of cool facts about Salem and the Salem witch trials. And then I also researched a bunch of history about Boston itself prior to the trip. And when I was on that trip, and I just knew what they were talking about as they were talking about it, and I was able to make that connection of learning it prior to this trip. We went to the Perkins School for the Blind out there, and I had a light bulb moment. I was like, wasn't this the school that Helen Keller went to when she was little? And it actually was the school that she went to, and they have a cottage named after her and Anne Sullivan, which was her teacher. And so something that we learned when Helen Keller was 6-ish years old, she ended up having to go to this school because she could no longer see or hear. So yeah, and that happened when she was 19 months old, when she lost her hearing and her sight. And I was like, yeah, it's a lot.
Honestly, in person, it gives you more knowledge, and you're learning so much there when you're in person. When you're reading a book about it, or listening to auto descriptive about it, you're not really getting a whole lot of travel experience with the learning experience, with the learning of history about it.
My favorite thing we did was finding famous people at Fenway Park. Luke Bryan, Bruce Springsteen, Florida Georgia Line, Kane Brown.
Yeah, this was actually my first time to Boston. I've never been to the Northeast, and so it was really interesting to go down there. And I mean, it's really cool. They got Salem, which we went to Salem. A lot of history down there. That's one of my favorite parts, was the history, for sure.
I love how diverse downtown Boston is, because there's a little Italy there, so all the Italian settlers settled in a little area of Boston, and then there's another area where all the Jewish people settled. And as we went all on this trolley tour around Boston, it was really cool to look at the cultural differences and the cultural impacts that each of those cultures had on the city of Boston and the history, and ultimately they contributed to what Boston life is like now. From the architecture, the food, the customs, the way people talk there, the lingo, and yeah, it was awesome.